And you know what else? You got real big feet. My face, who are you goofy? Ooh, I'm a brother. You think you like, I know I'm a brother. Skin's brown.
You like that song?
Yeah, but just that high pitch.
It sounds great.
And ooh, I am the man on this side of town. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 99 The Beat, and I'm called The Know. I am your host, Yahir L, and your hostess, Nadia.
Mine isn't streaming.
Welcome to our little world. Get ready, because here we come.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? This is Yair L, the Disagreeable.
And Navia, the Disagreeable as well.
And you're listening to 99 The Beat and our little segment called The Know. See how I kind of transitioned there? I was about to stumble over everything. But The Know and the Know News Network, TKNN Live for the YouTube streamers. We give thanks, we give peace and blessings.
Yes.
Welcome you all, and get ready for our rant.
Okay, so before we get started, we want to throw out a disclaimer right now that we will be discussing the Black Panther movie. So if you have not seen it, there will be some spoilers ahead.
Spoiler alert.
Okay, so we're going to give you a few
alert.
seconds to figure out whether or not you want to hear what we have to say. You have a countdown?
No.
Okay,
just
we'll
go.
count it down.
Yeah.
5,
4,
4,
3,
2,
2,
and
1. All right, you've been warned.
Yes. Do you want to start?
I would like to start, but I'm trying to make sure I share the link.
Okay,
for
well,
everyone
check this out. The Black Panther movie has been on everybody's mind since last year. You know, everybody was anticipating it. This was supposed to be the movie of the century. This was supposed to be one of the major blockbuster hits that's supposed to empower black people.
Yes.
This was going to be the first time that we were going to see, I guess, a superhero that came in the likeness or image of us, that came and was doing some wonderful things, and people got really excited about this movie. I'm telling you, we were dressed up, we were flawless, we had all types of garbs on. Some of us was coming in the likeness of coming to America. They were coming as King Jaffe and Mustafa, anything that you could possibly think of. And this was a day of national pride for this movie. And, you know, even the trailers was going viral all of the time. So, you know, we didn't want to go on the opening night because we didn't know quite what to expect. And I'm one of them people that if I pay for a movie, I kind of want to watch
people
it.
to shut up and not
so
talk all the way through the movie.
We decided that we were going to wait a couple of days until all of the new got out.
Yeah.
Okay, before we decided to go get it. I made a Facebook post. I wasn't playing when I made that post. I actually said, we are going to the movies, and we ain't dressing up like nothing. Okay? Because it's a movie. It's designed for entertainment purposes.
Exactly.
And as long as we kept that in our reality when we want to go see it, then, you know, everything would be fine. But this movie has caused unity and division
at the same time.
Absolutely. And I think some of us were just so excited that we had an all-black cast, even though it wasn't an all-black cast.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some guest appearances, but I mean, did you really think that it was going to be an all-black cast? Absolutely not. But I think that's what the excitement was. And, you know, we as a very emotional people and needing to feel accepted, you know, through the face of wanted, appreciated, important throughout the rest of the world. You know, we rallied around this movie, and I am a Marvel Comics fan, so, you know, I'm not going to isolate this movie from any other movie just because it's a black cast. What I will say is I don't know if everybody got the true message in the movie that they were portraying to be that excited about it, because there were some things in there that if you weren't really paying attention was going to go directly over your head.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I have to express a bit of disappointment here because, you know, while the movie in and of itself was wonderful, you know, it had great CGI, great effects, the plot didn't quite work out for me. You know, it wasn't there, you know, because what took place for me is that, you know, I was interested in the Black Panther way before they even started having, you know, previews and things of this nature because of the cartoon that I found. I thought the cartoon was more savage than anything else because of how they presented themselves as regal. And you didn't quite get the same prejudice, so to speak.
What do you mean?
Well, what I'm saying is, from the cartoon, from what I saw,
Okay.
it was pretty much the U.S. government against Wakanda because the U.S. government wanted the vibranium and wanted the resources, and it wasn't giving any indication to Wakanda or Wakandans or the king disavowing or completely cutting off any of the African people. They wanted to protect their resource, but they did not indicate in the cartoon that they were only caring about themselves.
I see.
The movie kind of portrayed something a little bit different. Now, again, I'm not a
Cisco or Ebert.
you know, yeah,
We're not Cisco and Ebert.
You know, I'm not completely thoroughly educated on the Black Panther mythos, but based off of what I've seen, there was no segregation, so to speak, within the actual African continent saying, we just don't accept you, we're completely independent from everyone. No, King T'Chaka, during the cartoon, was more concerned about the mindset of the people. Okay?
Okay.
Sorry, you gonna?
No, I wasn't. I was listening because I don't know too much about the cartoon. So
Okay. Well, all right. Long story short, in essence, King T'Chaka goes to visit, I guess, diplomats within the U.S. And then there's this government official that wanted to meet with him privately to see if he approved of sharing the resources of vibranium.
okay.
And T'Chaka just is in this regal stance. His children, they all have this appearance that they are highly sophisticated, highly intelligent, and the government official comes off as arrogant. And what happens is he says, "Well, excuse me, T'Chaka, we had a discussion about the resources that you were going to share with us." This man comes off and says, "Who gave you permission to address me by my first name?" Bow! That's what got me glued to Black Panther, because what happens is it says that even though you are a government official, you have no right to address me the way you think you can. And unfortunately, that's not what was portrayed in the movie. Okay, now, yes, of course, T'Chaka's father was killed by by Klaus, I believe.
They had an explosion.
Right, but see, it wasn't the explosion in the cartoon. In the cartoon, he was assassinated.
I see.
And that's kind of where I was like, that doesn't quite fit, but okay. So of course T'Challa comes along. However, according to the cartoon, this is the cartoon. This is two
not
different...
the movie, so we're not spoiling anything here.
Right. This is what's happening in the cartoon. The uncle, if I'm correct, of the Wakandan nation was put in charge, and he was the ruler of Wakanda until T'Challa came up into his own and challenged him during that ceremonial battle, and he defeated him. That's when he came in too. It wasn't what was perceived in the movie. Now, the movie again was great. It had great cultural implications, great cultural influence. It brought some things to light that a lot of African Americans over here in the States are not fully aware of. But it fell short in just the plot for me.
I guess I have to agree with that it kind of fell short. The one thing that I appreciated about this, now, anybody that knows me knows that I'm a villain queen. Okay, that means that normally, if I go to a movie, I'm always rooting for the villain. Why that is, I have no idea.
Oh,
but
boy.
when I was young, I used to always want to be Darth Vader. Like, you know, that, that was what I wanted to be when I was a little kid. You know, remember that commercial with that little boy in a Darth Vader mask, and he was outside going like this, you know, trying to move the car. Yeah, that was me. So, but this one I kept a very open mind because, number one, I was unfamiliar with it at all, whereas I am kind of familiar with, you know, the themes of Star Wars,
right,
and dealing with the light and the dark sides of the forces. However, with this one, I was going in there brand new and completely open to receive whatever it is that, you know, they were trying to disclose to us.
Right.
The character, Killmonger.
Badass.
I understand his role as a disagreeable. Okay, yep. I will put it that way. Was he a hardcore villain? You know, was he villainized there? I mean, it depends on how you look at it. Because sometimes, I'm a very firm believer that sometimes you got to bring the darkness into the light. Correct. To expose it. Okay, so this antagonist, Killmonger, is a product of what was created by an over righteousness type of society, you know, a society that cared more about influence. I mean, which was apparent with the king when he says, "This was a truth that I decided to hide." Right. Why did he want to hide that truth, that there was an possible heir, you know, of royal blood that was still in the hood, that was left behind, you know what I mean? And he was left behind to fend for himself. His father was dead, you know what I mean? Throughout the movie, you do not see the mother, okay? So this was one of those movies where, you know, the black fathers are being celebrated. So we do appreciate that. But Killmonger is there kind of left to fend for himself. And he knows very little about Wakanda. But what he does know is the suffering and where he is, you know, in the hood and in the ghetto. He knows that.
And that was the point of his father. You see, because his father, again, if you guys have not seen the movie, we are giving out major spoilers. So you might want to, you know, plug your ears or you know,
just not listen to the show.
Okay, so what happens is T'Chaka's brother, who is a father, Eric Killmonger, is a quote-unquote war dog, okay? But
I would say revolutionary.
Right, revolutionist. So in this movie, okay, he comes face to face with his brother and he says, "I see the suffrage of the people here and what they're going through. Here. And what they stand in need of. I cannot help but try to fight for them." He saw something that was very important, saying these are our own people, right? And we're not fighting for them, which was why he was trying to sell some of the precious vibranium so that the people in specific cities can fight.
Those who were oppressed,
right?
Because they refer to, you know, the white people as colonizers now. Remember that. But go ahead.
Yeah, so that they could fight against this oppressive system. Of course, you know, being the self-righteous king, T'Chaka had a problem with that, and
he felt betrayed.
So, in a long story short, they get in a little scuffle, and T'Chaka kills him and leaves the father there.
Well, he was getting ready to kill the spy.
Right, you know, and that was probably the unfortunate part, because now you have an indication of what is going to be black on black crime. Or black on black violence, and that was the disappointing part, because you don't see much of that within the actual comic. Within the comic, of course, you have Eric Killmonger and you have some of the other protagonists that are black in essence, and they do kind of clash. But for the most part, I think this movie really honed in on the fact that even though you're a highly sophisticated nation, technologically advanced, you still don't know how to work out your own damn problems.
Hey, I didn't say it. You heard it from him. What I am going to say is, this is not one of those situations where you just have somebody that is it's kind of black and white where it's good versus evil. You don't have that black and white good versus evil feel of this. You have righteous indignation, you know, and that is coming across like very aggressively, but at the same time, if you understood that the person Killmonger was trying to live out his father's legacy, number one, okay? And number two, was trying to get back to his royal roots, okay? Because he was abandoned. Now, after this happened, what he was talking about where, you know, his father was killed, they just get on the ship and leave. The boy looks like he's about, what, 10?
Yeah, about 9 to 10 years old.
9 to 10 years old. The son, you know, that's just kind of hanging out there, left with nobody to raise him. So Killmonger spent a lot of time, you know, in the military and in espionage. And I mean, he made it his life mission to get back to Wakanda.
And that was another nugget. See, hate can drive you to do some amazing things.
Oh, it was amazing.
To accomplish goals. This man said he graduated early. He graduated school early. He went to MIT, got his PhD. He went to Afghanistan. He went to Iraq.
And he killed a lot of people.
He had scarification that indicated how many people he killed. This man prepared for the day to kick T'Challa's ass. And that was a badass moment. That's what made me admire that man, because that shows when a black man has a common goal in mind with hate in his eyes, there is nothing.
Absolute defiance.
He would tear down and tear through anything. And this man killed his own girlfriend.
Yeah,
just
he did.
to get there.
Just to get there.
Just to get there. And he played psychological warfare. And what's so interesting is when he played this disagreeable role, there's this seed that helps to increase, according to the mythos of Black Panther. When you go through your rite of passage, which was again
the heart-shaped plant.
Yeah, the heart-shaped plant. You know, that's another, you know, kind of going off on a tangent here. But the heart-shaped plant is what helps to increase your senses. It makes you impervious to disease, and it helps you to run faster, and you're a lot stronger. Okay, what he did after he went through his rite of passage, after he overthrew T'Challa at that point, is he said, "Burn it all."
There you go.
Which meant no one has this advantage anymore.
That's right.
Meaning now you have to fight on an even playing field.
Absolutely.
Which was admirable. I was like, yes, burn all of it.
And I'll tell you something else. You know, what he stood for, interestingly enough, was the exact same thing that T'Challa's ex-girlfriend, soon-to-be queen, Nakia the spy, had the same thing. See, she was a spy out there in the real world. So if you want to break this movie down and say, okay, we're talking about this elite class in Africa, okay, that has all the knowledge, all the technology, all of the weaponry there, and they are there to preserve their kingdom, okay? And that king has a right to protect his kingdom. And the way that the old kings and the kings before them did that was by not allowing anybody to infiltrate, okay? This place was the best kept secret. Nobody knew that it existed except for the one guy that got there and got out alive, you know, but they shut themselves off from the outside world. But meanwhile, you know, the antagonist, Killmonger, and his T'Challa's love interests were operating in the outside world. So they got to see the suffering that was actually happening outside of their cozy little confinement.
Right.
And neither one of them had the conscience to say, we're going to ignore those problems to protect our own.
Right.
Because in the past, it just feels like it was all based on self-preservation, you know, of the people that were in this kingdom. But for those who got a chance to go out, you know, and spy, they're seeing that there's a lot of oppression going on amongst the world. They're seeing that their own people are suffering. They're giving you glimpses of projects in there, and project kids that, you know, are playing basketball with milk crates, as opposed to, you know, even a regular basketball hoop.
Good times though.
Okay, so you're seeing this going on in the outside world, and two people from Wakanda living in that outside world, and they're wanting to implement some type of change because Nakia's stance, the spy stance, was I can't live here, you know, and enjoy all of this, and in good conscience know that there's our people are out there suffering.
Right.
And T'Challa's role was that of his ancestors. You know, as a young king, he of course mirrored himself after his father and the fathers before them. And their premise was when you start bringing outsiders in, you start bringing their problems in along with them. Okay, and my duty is to protect my kingdom, and I really don't have too much to do with that. Well, Killmonger changed all of that very quickly.
Very quickly.
Okay, all of that from the moment his foot set foot on Wakanda's soil, it was on and popping because he came there for revenge and he came there to claim the throne that he felt like he was deprived of. He felt like he was a stronger king. And he kind of showed that with the epic
ass whooping.
Yeah. I mean, it was epic.
I mean, it started out like, you know, hey, T'Challa was like, okay, I'm trained to do this. Pow, you know, he hit these specific moves, but then that hate rose up. That hate rose up.
Down here from there, folks.
Like, nope, you're not taking this from me. This is going to happen. This is going to end up bad for you.
And it did.
And it did, you know.
And he was talking, you know, mad crap the whole time that they were fighting. I mean, he was looking at the people, was like, "This is your king. This is your king." And he was just like giving them the business, punching them, kicking them. Like, this is who you looking up on.
Nothing he could do, you know. But then now here's where some of those deeper nuggets falls in. You know, what do you do as a king, where you have to have a fine balance between preserving your nation but also helping the people? You know, what do you do when you are presented with a problem that you had no idea existed? Because before the whole fiasco took place, T'Challa did not know who Eric Killmonger was.
That's correct.
So now he's faced with this problem and he's trying to solve it diplomatically, but because he's royal blood and he challenged him to the ceremonial rite, he obliged.
And it wasn't a little problem. It was a pretty big problem. Right. Killmonger was a problem.
Yeah. And I think it presented some interesting problems that we face here in the African American community. When you have the wealth and riches and resources to help your people, should you help them? Would you help them? Or would you just stay to yourself?
And we will answer those questions. We're going to get into a deep conversation about that.
Yes.
But I want to go on with the movie.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Sorry.
With that, no, there's no need to apologize. We want to take them there. All right. So here you go. The disagreeable comes in, and through his own brute strength, kind of exposes the weakness in the current king.
Correct.
Okay. And he boasted in it, and he rises to power to become Black Panther and king. And there's a handful of people, you know, who was loyal enough to try to sneak out and find the old king. Because when I say he destroyed him, I mean, he picked this guy up and he throws him off the doggone waterfall, into oblivion. Everybody's assuming that this guy is dead. And Killmonger's up there like, I'm your king now. And it's kind of like, what are you going to do about it? Because they can't deny him.
Right.
He actually fought him in a battle that was pretty much part of their heritage. You know, you can always challenge the king for the throne. I don't think the king was prepared to have an outsider who had never been in Wakanda or trained in the type of training that he had come to come there and hand him his behind on a silver plate like this.
Right.
Okay. But it was handed to him and it's thrown, he's thrown off the waterfall and he's presumed dead. And you have those who are loyal, to the kingdom, the government of Wakanda, and then you have some who are loyal to the personage that represents that. Mm-hmm. So you had some people, who
the position, the title,
right, but mm-hmm. You had the family, the queen mother, and the sister, and his love interest. That all of that order, that law, and that order, and hierarchy, and all of that stuff just went right out the window. And they decided that they were going to leave and try to find him. Mm-hmm. They decided that there was no way that they could serve a king this barbaric, because that's what he looked like to them. He looked like he was just barbaric. He looked like he was somebody that just came in there, to wreak havoc on Wakanda and the earth, and he was just this dark entity. Mm-hmm. But let me tell you what he stood for. Even though some of those things might have been perceived in that manner, this man was coming from a standpoint of, we need to be sharing our resources, our advanced weaponry, mm-hmm. with the rest of our brothers and sisters, mm-hmm. who are out there being oppressed and fighting a losing battle. While you guys are sitting up here being cushy and living this right. beautiful mm-hmm. Lifestyle of nobility and this advanced technology, you have brothers and sisters over there. Let's just say that we are dealing with Africa and the United States. If they were representing that, then this guy is in Africa saying, but there's people that came on slave ships in the United States, and they're constantly living under a state of an oppressor that they can't win. So what we need to do is, I'm gonna step up and be king, and we're gonna send these weapons out, mm-hmm. to certain people in the area, and we together as a collective is going to rule. Mm-hmm. That they had, the colonizers is what they refer to them. What white people were referred to in this movie. The colonizers have ruled for years and years and years, and you're sitting here on your tail
doing nothing,
and you've got the stuff that is necessary to get us out of this rut, and we're not going to share it because we're afraid of being infiltrated. So his stance was, he was going to get black people to dominate. Mm-hmm. He was.
This was a righteous action.
In his mind, he was going to fix all of those problems, all those issues. From the point of the noble kings, it was, you're going to start something that you can't finish, that you can't possibly win, because even if we did win this battle, what's going to happen in the long run? What type of wars are going to come out of this? So like I said, it's not a thing of black and white. It's a matter I mean to say black and white. It's not a thing of good and evil. It's about perception and perspective.
Right.
And how could Killmonger look at these people as being righteous and good people when he's been abandoned, mm-hmm. denied his heritage, and then watching his father could die? Mm-hmm. Seeing right. that. So his perspective is, y'all some of the bitches. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And y'all sitting up here living this life. Oh, I'm going to come and tear all of this up. Mm-hmm. That's what we deal with when we have, the darkness sometimes having to come into the light and expose it. And expose, all of this exposed the darkness in the father, the previous king.
That's correct.
Who had a glass eye. We're not going to ignore that he had a glass eye.
Oh, my gosh. Just
he had a glass
See,
eye.
This is where high definition kind of does you disservice, because we were looking at it, I was like,
we said at the same time.
How does he have a glass eye?
Does he have a glass eye?
There's just some little things that we kind of see. This is us. When we look at movies, we break down things to the minutia. Sometimes we'll catch things like, did he just say that?
Yeah.
Like, why is his eye blinking differently? Is that only happens when you have a false eye? What are we missing here? And see here. Here's me being me again, just nitpicking. I'm nitpicking now, guys, so please don't pay me any mind. I'm nitpicking. How is it that you go from such a very powerful, prominent, and great stature and physique to being overweight and old?
hey, I think it's some African
You know, I would think.
societies.
But you had the heart
Wait.
shape.
Hold on. Some of them look at weight as that position of authority. So I don't know if that's what they were trying to portray in that movie, but yeah. You know, some cultures don't look at that the same way.
Sure, you know how you
I would have thought
fit into the Black Panther suit. With the, I'm sorry, it's just me nitpicking.
he was retired at that time. He had already transitioned to the afterworld. I don't know if he was walking around in the Black Panther suit with the Buddha belly. That would have been funny to see, but what I did see was that they had this high advanced technology, and he still had a glass eye.
Why didn't he use little orbs and technology that they had to regenerate the eye? you can regenerate the back, you can regenerate wounds, but
that thing is just high definition will expose little things like this.
Yeah. But we're nitpicking.
But anyway, they reverence Bast. Well, I like to say Bast.
Who they didn't show. That was disappointing. I wanted to see some type of wonderful a deity that represented this great nation, and they just showed a tree of pumas.
Yeah, they showed a tree of pumas.
What is this?
And each of the puma actually represented a dead ancestor.
Yeah, it was like, what is this, cat people? I didn't want to see cat people. I wanted to see a great white leopard Bast, like in the comics. I mean, in the comics, they showed Bast to be this mystical, ethereal being that spoke powerfully. And I'm like, okay, great. He's walking through this realm. He's planing, and he's gonna
come face to face,
right?
Yeah.
And then you just come to the tree of leopards.
But that's okay because it also hits
jaguars. Actually, panthers are jaguars. To
right.
Be specific. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm glad you cleared that out.
Nitpicking. Sorry.
But I thought the premise of having the ability to connect with their ancestors was very, very awesome because that was part of our African spirituality that all of a sudden became demonized.
Yeah.
Having the ability to talk with your ancestors and meeting them on that level, and the roles of the shaman that help transition you through that. I really did appreciate that portion.
And the energy of the soil. Now I thought that was very interesting because the ceremonies where you had to almost like in Egyptian style, and they buried you in the African soil. I'm like, oh man. I wonder what that would feel like. Not covering my face because I got to breathe. But, just that ceremony altogether was amazing. According to the comics, not also did they ingest it, but they had to pour it on the body as well. So it was the heart-shaped herb was absorbed externally and internally.
Oh, wow.
But, those are some of the things that they missed. But for the most part, I'm kind of, looking at the visuals and how it kind of fits into the comics, and I think you're really hitting on the subtext and the implications. And I probably want to delve a little bit further into that because, okay, no, I'm sorry. I'm going to be disagreeable for a second. If you are a highly technologically advanced society,
I don't even know if I want to listen. Jesus.
How is it that, you look at your technology through black magnetic sand? Oh, you are so highly advanced, you can surveil things with black magnetic sand. And this is what's in the truck here, and this is how you can get to them in black magnetic sand. I'm like, I'm still trying to figure out the correlation between technology and sand. I'm like, you would think that everything would be digital displays and things like that, and then I'm nitpicking. Then when you go to meet his younger sister and she's working on these little gadgets and doodads, there's no clean room. You're just walking around and you just got some miscellaneous person that just looks busy, and you're playing African music in the background. I'm like, wait. if you're technologically advanced, where are your computer monitors? Where are the things that kind of show that you're technologically advanced? I was looking for like, hey, where maybe there's some Wakandan JavaScript or Wakandan C++, or something that said, hey, we're technologically advanced. But you just show, oh, hey, look at this necklace. If you press this necklace, the suit comes out of the necklace, and it is a newer design.
That is some advanced technology, I beg your pardon. That's advanced.
Where's the process?
Hey,
the nerdiness in me wanted to see the process. How? What? Show us the steps. You know, how did you make the vibranium into thread and fabric? You know, show the nerdy people the engineering concept. But, you know, that's me nitpicking.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
I think the magnetic sand is actually demonstrating a high level of technology, because as they were explaining this vibranium substance, it can infiltrate any and everything, you know, and they had, I guess, some of that vibranium was emerged in the sand. Some kind of way, don't ask me to explain it, but they showed it in soil, and they showed it as, you know, being a cloth. And that lady, his sister, the scientist, said that everything was run by it. Everything. So I guess the black magnetic sand has some type of portion of that in it. And I don't know how long it would take, beloved, to actually show them build the sand. I'm just saying, all that it just take away from the movie.
It just for me, there were just a lot of holes that just captivated my interest that just did not quite do it for me. That was one of the things I was nitpicking. Again, nice movie, but I wanted to know so much more that was just missing from the movie.
Well, that's right, because I did too. Now, remember the trailers back in when they first came out, the trailers was hitting on some deep stuff, and it was like during a time when aliens visited the earth and gods traveled in spaceships.
Men made different types of machines. I have never seen anything like this. Show us, please.
Well, but it wasn't in the movie.
It wasn't in the movie.
It wasn't in the movie. That portion. So I would agree that I would have wanted to see a little bit more of backstory. But then again, you know, you're dealing with Marvel Comics, so how deep can they actually get? You know what I mean? So
I don't know. I mean, hey, maybe
it's a comic.
Hey, let's show us how advanced we are, and let's have you guys drive a Lexus of all vehicles. Hey, let's put you in this highly technologically advanced Wakandan Lexus.
Hold on, beloved. They were in the outside world at that time, so the whole thing wasn't to display that they were this technologically advanced. They just had to show that they had a little wealth, but they're not going to show their hands. So I feel like that's appropriate. You are nitpicking, and I'm getting off of this with you.
No,
anyway,
I'm nitpicking.
Anyway,
I'm nitpicking because
some things are appropriate.
I'm nitpicking because I wanted to know so much more. Maybe because I was glued and I was looking for good stuff, but to kind of outweigh the subtext and the depth that was implying that we cannot work together, we cannot solve problems diplomatically, we are selfish, we are racist, we are not as spiritual as we think, we are deceptive. It was giving so many aspects of subtext that I wanted something a little bit better to kind of offset those things that said, when we're better than you, we'll ignore you altogether.
Yeah. Well, they really didn't have that, you know, that aspect that you were looking for. However, Killmonger did bring some of those things out.
He did.
Another thing that I liked how the movie represented is sometimes you have to change the old vanguard.
Yes.
Okay. So here you go. You have this battle between tradition, you know, of what was always done, and now you're in this new area of what needs to be done. So, you know, his woman, I don't even know. I mean, that it implies that they were exes, but you can tell, you know, that there's a little romance, you know, flirting back and forth in the scene, and that eventually, you know, she's going to give in, and at the end she gives in, you know, that type of thing. You always have a superhero has a love interest.
Oh, don't freeze! I never freeze.
So Nakia is sitting with him. And, he's talking about his ancestry. He was talking about the Black Panthers and his father and stuff like that before him. And she says to him, you have to decide what type of king you're going to be. Okay? And I think that's powerful because some of the things that we tend to do in our communities is we want to overplay. We want to live our life in retrograde is what I like to call it all the time. We want to recreate something that has been done over and over again, rather than not it should apply in this generation. We just want to stay with something that we think works. And not too many people are willing to challenge an old vanguard and raise up something else. So everybody knows that there's no such thing. There could be no revolution started without first a rebellion. Okay? The rebellion comes first, then the revolution. So there's a couple of people, characters in here that when Killmonger came, they immediately jumped on board with him. Mm-hmm. The guy from the other tribe.
Wakabi.
Yeah, he immediately, because see, what Killmonger was able to do, and I have to give a little bit of the backstory here now. The white guy, what was his name? The guy, Kusa, no, the white guy. Claw, I'm sorry. Okay. Claw killed T'Challa's father, T'Chaka. And T'Chaka had supposedly been after this man for 30 years. So some of the people of Wakanda is looking forward to T'Challa, when he rises to power to finally avenge his father's death. Of course, he was not able to do it because he got distracted. Killmonger was also helping Claw at the time, which they didn't know who, Killmonger was. He just saw that there was a black guy that was helping this guy, that's a white guy who killed his father. Mm-hmm. Some kind of way, he gets free. They go there, they think they finally are going to end this guy, Claw. But, Killmonger helps him and they escape, so he comes back not only empty-handed, but with a CIA agent. Okay, that kind of jumps in the way of the bullet in front of the Kia. So now, T'Challa feels obligated because this man saved his woman's life to not only heal them, but to bring them back into a CIA agent. Okay, I need to I need to say this because if you're trying to hide who you are, what you are, the last person you bring in here is an American CIA agent.
Want to nitpick again?
But they don't come back with the enemy. They come back with what could be perceived as an extra enemy on top of the enemy that already had.
Ready to pick that apart.
And when they come, they come back with him. This is when, some of the tribes started losing a little bit of respect. Mm-hmm. You can tell the turning point was happening there that, are you serious? You had our enemy. You had the opportunity to avenge your father's death. He somehow gets away, and you bring back this white guy that's a CIA agent into our medical facilities, highly advanced medical facilities to get healing. So he kind of looks at him and was like, I thought things would be different with you, but I see everything stays the same.
Everything stays the same.
And he walks away. Well, that's the catalyst of what Killmonger needed, because when he showed up on Wakanda soil, he had with the man.
Hey, how's it going? See? The guy that you want me to kill, that killed him.
Right.
I should be your king.
That's right. So that was another way of challenging the throne and trying to show that the current king was weak.
And the undertones, again, is loyalty. Mm-hmm. How loyal are you, and how loyal can you be when that loyalty is tested? Mm-hmm. How patient can you be? Because what started happening is when Killmonger got to the throne room where the council sat with T'Challa there, he started making point after point after point, and people started agreeing with him.
Yeah.
People's just like, he has a point there.
He said, I'm in your house. with the man that murdered your father,
Right.
wait a minute, which your king couldn't do. I mean, he didn't say that. That wasn't verbatim. That was just my recollection of it.
He's got
but
a point.
Basically, that's what he told him. I'm standing in your throne room, in your house. I brought to you the man that your father had been chasing for 30 years and that your son failed to kill. Okay? And I'm the one that needs to be king because apparently he can't get the job done. So that's when he got the attention of some of the tribesmen, and they was like, you know, he got a point because their love for revenge outweighed anything else.
Correct.
You know, they loved T'Challa. They loved their king.
Yep.
So when he was able to deliver that, it started making T'Challa's role as a king. Plus, he was young, you know, and
he couldn't make up the right decisions yet. But
yeah,
but that's kind of where, you know, the storyline for the comics and the cinematic universe changes. Here's another subtext that we were looking at. And when you have two people that was W'Kabi and Okoye. Okay, Okoye was the general of the Doro Milaje. Okay,
I love
the female bodyguards. Right?
Oh, they were so bad.
And her love interest was W'Kabi. Okay, another male that was the right hand man of T'Challa. Okay?
That turned on him.
Here's where the loyalty split, which is what we talked about earlier, because W'Kabi wanted revenge, but Okoye, the assassin, the security, the bodyguard, was loyal to the king. And, you know, it got to the point where they were fighting against, their factions were fighting against one another. And he presented the question, how would that question go? Would you kill me, my love? Or something like that. And she said, my loyalty is to the king.
There you go.
So you have black love destroyed over revenge or principle that might not have been necessary or was actually necessary at that time.
The interesting part about that is when she says that her loyalty is to the king, she meant it, because even when Killmonger killed T'Challa, she wasn't one of the ones that left. She knew that she had been sworn in and her duty belonged to whoever was reigning, even though it created a moral conflict with her, because she, no doubt, she loved T'Challa.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the way that they were raised, you know, in this assassin's club, and the creeds that they had to take and the oaths that they had to take, meant that when Killmonger killed T'Challa, he was king. And despite the times that she was trying to challenge him, he was king. But you don't see that start to turn until later on, when she started to question his morality.
Right.
Okay. Then and only then did she turn against Killmonger. But for the most part, they were still there to defend him. They were going to kill him. But when those weapons had started to hit the airspace and they were getting ready to disperse them throughout the world,
she knew it was a
and
problem.
she said to him, you know, that you are filled with hate. You can't be a king filled with hate. But here's another conundrum. Can you be a king filled with nothing but love?
Yes, of course you can. Love. You just love everyone. Love everyone all the time. You can just love until you can't love anymore. Of course. Of course you can. But then there lies a problem where if you love everything, you have to be accepting. And if you're accepting of everything, then you have to let certain things slide.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Indeed.
Because the decisions that you have to make may not be in agreement with everybody at all the time. You're never going to be able to please 100% of the people 100% of the time. And sometimes kings have to make, and queens have to make very harsh decisions. You know, especially when it comes down to protecting their kingdom versus opening up to everything. You know, I don't know how many of you felt, if you saw the movie, how you would feel about Yeah, so let's go back to your question, because I'm actually spinning it back around to that question that you asked earlier.
Right.
You're in a position, especially for those of you who are rich. You're in a position where you have worked your way up to something in this life. And during that time that you were working your way up, you know what you experienced growing up. You know the struggle. You know what you have seen. You know what you had experienced and witnessed. So you know what's out there. But your whole mentality is to get out of that situation and make better for yourself. And now that you have made better for yourself, are you more focused in protecting those around you from that type of misery? Or are you more focused in going and raising or helping that type of misery get to the next level as well?
See, now that's where you have to find the balance.
Okay.
That's why, a lot of times when I'm on social media, I always post 33%. And we talked about that because there comes a point in time in your life where you're in that lower echelon and you're making your way up to the middle. And now that you're in the middle and you're transitioning up to the top 33%, are you pulling that lower 33 up as you go along? That's the question that you have to ask. I think that's the action that you have to follow through. And you have to go grab those that want to be free. That is the key. Not those that want to freeload, but those that want to be free. That is the dichotomy that kind of, is upon those that have the ability to do. Like, listen, I know I have all these resources, but what are you going to do with it? Say I give you this. What are you going to do? Are you just going to go piss it away? Or are you going to help people? And that's why that's where we kind of goes into politics too, where it's like, you can't tell me what to do with my resources. I want to choose how I help. Okay. However, there is a moral obligation where if you have the resources to help, please help. Do something. Something that is morally right and just. And that's kind of what you see by the end of the movie, where he says, the place where Njobu was killed, he bought the complex, and he bought 2 buildings on either side. Right. And then he said, this is where this is going to be the resource information exchange initiative, which was great. That was wonderful. But I'll nitpick a little later. But then that also shows, now that you have experienced what a disagreeable had to display to you, you are a lot wiser from that.
That's right. That's right. He found a balance in that later on. I mean, even when he transcended to the astral plane in the world, when he was able to speak face to face with his father, the previous king and Black Panther, he let him know right then and there he was wrong. He was wrong for the decisions that he was making. So we see that this king, T'Challa, is not only going to change something, but in his own right, he is revolutionizing, the old vanguard itself. He's starting to get involved with the United Nations and things of that nature. And he genuinely now wants to see other people benefit. Right. Okay. Now, so he did it a smart way. I mean, what he said earlier is, when we start bringing outside problems in, then they become our problems. So he found a way to protect what he got, but still work on the outside and help them out there. Okay. Now, Killmonger was going to
bring the problems in
there, right? And everybody was going to benefit, but you kind of got the feeling that he was setting up to be king over everybody, though.
Right. Like more of a dictatorship, because he was still filled with hate.
Yeah.
Now, that's the dangerous thing with hate. If you hate and then you've already fulfilled your task, or whatever gave you hate has now been righted, what else do you have to hate? You have to find something else that becomes your hate. Yeah. And then, now you're consumed with that hate, even though everything has been resolved. So that's kind of where that problem comes in. And I think that also shows another dichotomy that we as the African American community deal with, where we can hate our oppressor for so long, and then we come up to a point where we are very accomplished and we can overcome certain things that were done to us by our oppressor. But what else do we now have to hate?
Because they've taken that emotion and attached it to their identity.
Correct.
Which is now, encompassing the wholeness of that being. They don't know how to separate it. It's just like that thing where people say, you would rather live with your hurt than actually heal from it, or you would rather live with your pain than actually heal from it, because you have a sense of identity as long as you associate that type of emotion with a passion that drives you.
Right.
And then once you get rid of that, then you have to face you.
Nothing, right? Nothing but yourself.
You know what I mean? Now you got to get to know yourself all over again, outside of whatever pain or hurt or emotional drama that you have experienced. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. They don't know how to separate that.
It's like sitting in a silent room with no sound, nothing but your thoughts. And you have to engage those thoughts. It's a very difficult thing to do, which is why a lot of us sleep with something on, or listen to some type of ambient noise that's what gives us rest. Because if we all were to sleep in absolute silence, we would not get any sleep.
Now, I sleep in absolute silence. I sleep like a vampire. I mean, it's got to be black and quiet. I got to walk across the bed. I got to cross my arms and vamp my way down to the softness and stillness of the dark. And I'm fine with that. And the slightest light or the slightest noise can really disturb me, and I don't mind. I don't mind it. Why are you looking at me?
I don't know. I thought we were opposite of that, because there's been times flip the light on and you still out.
Oh, that depends on how tired I am.
Yeah.
That depends on how tired I am. If you're doing that in the morning, you can forget about it. I don't even know you exist. Once I transition into that deep REM sleep, I'm gone. But what I'm saying is, I can't go to sleep comfortably. If I'm ready to go to bed, I don't want any. It's dark. It's the lights off, the little PlayStation, whatever little light is on has to be out.
Yeah, everything.
And
I agree with that.
And I don't want sound. Whereas you don't mind sound. I mind sound.
I mean, because I kind of like a little bit of ambient noise that kind of gives me a little bit of rest, just like the sound of a fan. That's it. A little bit of moving air. I can't stand stagnant air. That's neither here nor there. But these little things that kind of give me a little bit of sleep. But anyways, but bring it all around full circle. Things. When you are faced with yourself in this absolute silence and this stillness, can you bear yourself?
Yeah. Can you handle your thoughts? Right.
Can you handle that? And I think now that, when we analyze it from this perspective, now we have to look at the purpose of the actual movie. Okay? And here's where I tend to have a bit of an issue, or I take issue with it, because, I'm trying to figure out how Zamunda has anything to do with Wakanda, and which has anything to do with us as black people in a real place. This is how I'm going to dress to go watch a movie. It's a figurative movie. I can...
Oh, the pride. You were talking about. Do you like this? Do I look shaman-esque?
Yeah.
With my fro? I did this fro for the movie.
I mean, that works. I like that.
Yeah, okay,
That
cool.
does kind of work. Yeah. You should wear them on. Yeah. All the. Anyways, no one can see what we're doing unless you're watching us on YouTube. We're doing all these weird hand movements.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But yeah, it says yes. It speaks of pride. Yes, I'm proud to watch this movie. This is great. It's wonderful. Yes, I am black and I'm proud. I'm watching Black Panther and watching this guy just pummel people and do all this stuff. And but you're spending money on clothes and almost $50 in movies, ticket sales, and drinks and everything. But what happens afterwards?
Oh, I know what happens afterwards. You got a cleaning bill.
Oh, yeah.
For that new that new outfit, because as soon as you go home, it's still going to be kind of back to your bullshit.
Because The question is, what are you gonna do afterwards? I went to go see Black Panther. That's great. It's entertainment. It's a movie.
Yeah, that's all.
You went to go be entertained.
And I hope you were entertained. I hope you were. Because I was,
I could see if this was a city forum. I could see if this was a voting poll. I could see if this was, voting for sheriffs and judges and certain political arenas that actually have some type of change. But no, you want to dress up, pay $50 to $60 for $7 popcorn, $8 drinks, $9 M&Ms to watch a 2.5-hour movie, come home and be disappointed that you spent $60 to $70 and you're still doing nothing.
Not everybody's disappointed. Not everybody's disappointed. We would assume that everybody would be disappointed.
I stand corrected. I'm sorry, not disappointed. You're inspired.
Okay.
You're inspired to spend a whole bunch of money into a movie that you're probably not going to see again. What are you going to do?
No, a lot of people actually bought the movie now.
Oh, so you talked to Jim on the corner and got your CD. All right, okay, all right. Touche. I'll give you that. Touche. All right.
A lot of people bought the movie. A lot of people bought it.
Kind of here's where I'm getting at, because what we're now looking at is a disconnect. Okay, it is a psychological disconnect. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because Wakanda and Zamunda are fantasy places. They're not reality. So what you have done is now removed yourself from reality to something that does not exist, and then you still have to come back to your reality. So what happens when you come back to your reality? You want to go back to fantasy. So now what happens is, because you don't want to face your reality at home, you want to go right back to what's not real.
Yeah.
Why is
and
it
it can cause a depression.
Exactly.
So if you're, you're going out there and you're seeing this fantasy world that looks great, and then you have to come back and look your reality in the face because you're not happy with yourself.
Correct.
You're not happy with your current condition, then you can go through a type of a cosplay type of fantasy land.
Again, what this movie presents is now that you've seen something that black people do actually have the capability of doing, and you come back home to your shit box of a house. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Jesus.
Sorry. You come back home you come back to reality. What are you gonna do? What are we as a black community gonna do? Why can't we create a Wakanda-like nation? Why can't we do this? You know why? Because the movie shows that black people can't get together, and black people have issues with loyalty and trust. What are we gonna do? That's the question. We want to idolize comic book characters. We want to idolize superheroes when parents should be the superheroes. When your big brother or your uncle should be a superhero. When Nat Turner should be a superhero. When Toussaint Louverture should be a superhero. When Malcolm X, Martin Luther King should be a superhero. When Barack Obama should be a superhero. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Certain things like this should now say, this is where we need to take action. What we've just proved, and we talked about this weeks ago, what we just proved is that you can spend $200+ million in 4 days for something that's not going to benefit you.
Yeah. Well, we do it all the time.
Do you know what you could do with $200 million? You can purchase a county. You can purchase the politicians. You can purchase the security, the police. You can purchase the mayor, the ordinances, the infrastructure for $200 million. You could build your own county. But no.
Well, see, the problem that black people have with, the Malcolm X's and the Nat Turners and the Martin Luther King is none of them had a cool rubber suit, though. I mean, it wasn't like they was
No.
fighting crime.
No.
In order for us to respect somebody, you gotta have a cool suit.
You gotta have a black unitard on with a mask.
You definitely gotta have a suit, okay? And you have got to show, how badass your technology is.
That's right. We got badass technology. You want to know?
Got to show that. I'm not respecting anything else. I'm not.
Here's a joke that Beloved and I shared at the end of the movie, and I thought it was funny. I thought it was hilarious.
Oh no.
There was a scene where the spaceship, which was quite unrealistic, but the spaceship descended down onto the basketball court. And kids like, oh man, this is cool. We should chop this up and sell it. I'm like, well, really? Okay, great. That's wonderful. So then they home in on this little kid. And he's this dark-skinned young man. Yeah. He's like, oh man, this is wonderful. And then he walks up to T'Challa and says, man, who are you? T'Challa smiles. My little inward monologue is like, oh, don't mind me. I'm just a black man or a black king that's getting ready to sell out his entire country and resources all for nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Which is a sad truth. Unfortunately, I just think that's the conundrum that we as black people are stuck in. Yeah. We want to be accepted. So in order to be accepted, we'll dress up. We'll look important. But the grim reality is we don't live in Wakanda. We don't live in Zamunda. We live in the United States of America. The majority of us do. We live in Chicago. We live in Atlanta, New York City. We live in Detroit. We live in Durham, Raleigh. We live in certain
Fayetteville.
parts. We live in Los Angeles, Compton. We live in these areas that we have the power to change, but don't. You say you don't, but you can.
Beloved, no, we can't. I keep telling you this. The only way that we're going to move is we have got to have somebody approach us in leotards.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, we need a rubber suit.
Hold on, let me finish.
Okay, yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
You keep cutting me off.
Sorry.
We have got to have somebody that, number one, can fight.
Right.
Because black people don't respect nobody that can't fight. Especially if you're from the city or the urban youth and this, that, the third. We don't respect people that can't fight. We tend to respect violence.
Oh, yeah, we love violence.
Okay, so we have to have somebody that not only going to show up with a great speech, have to have wealth, but we've got to physically see them be able to kick somebody's ass, like that's in a high position. Right. And once we do that...
Oh, then we'll follow you.
We'll follow you then.
Yeah. Hey,
but
man.
You've got to go against the oppressor.
Yes.
You've got to go against, some people that black people feel are untouchable and come out with some superhuman strength or some type of technology and take them bad boys out. Plus, you got money and you got a good talk game. Oh, you got to have women. If you a guy and you want us to follow you, we got to see you macking too. Right. So you got to be you need to look good. You need to have women.
Plenty of women.
Okay.
That are bald.
You got to have women. You got to have some type of. You got to be able to fight. Okay. We don't respect non-fighters.
Right.
And you got to be able to take down somebody that we can physically see, and you got to have a good pimp game to go along with that.
And we have to see it. We don't need to hear about it. We have to actually see it, that we can record it on our phones and share it on World Star Hip Hop.
And if you look
YouTube
good enough
in
your spandex, okay,
right,
hey, you might get us.
And you have to have an accent and speak very gutturally. You have to speak in a way that says that I am better than you, and because I am better than you, I am going to do your job for you that you could not do yourself.
Now, some of those accents, that we respect that makes us feel like you're better than us is, of course, you have that accent, and you also have the British. Right. You have the British accent.
Quite literally.
So if you talk like any of those, the African or the British, and you wear spandex, and you can fight, and you have money, okay, and you have women. You're heroes.
Yeah, great. So, the moral of the story is family. There you go. Sound like Tariq Nasheed.
There you go.
So, the moral of the story is kindred. I'll change that up. Okay? The moral of the story is, in order for us to change, we need one person. One. Not many. One. Okay? that does all the stuff for us, and then we can just follow right along.
One person.
That's how it works. It's just one person to do the job because we are just totally incompetent. You know, just so afraid that we're just doubting Thomases. We had to see it for ourselves before we take another step forward into progress. That is just great. You know, that's how we're just gonna end our show today.
Yes.
You know,
we're out
ladies and gentlemen, this is how we solve the African American plight. One person to do our job for us. And we ain't got to do a doggone thing.
That's right.
But watch it.
Right.
Watch it.
And admire it.
And admire it, right? Mm-hmm. And then follow.
That's it.
Because we were just meant to be followers.
That's all.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And you know, hey, with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and end this show. We love you guys. You know, again, we want to give you a shout out. Sorry, here comes the long outro. The Game, Avant, Kim, Gloria, Shay, Renee, Lyrical Lines, the First Lady of 99 The Beat. We thank you all for tuning in. We give thanks. We love you all. And
we do. Now
what I'm going to try to do is really quickly cue up the glow, which is what I should have done in the first place. Again, we thank you.
Money and bitches.
This is what we need. To lead a community, you need money and bitches. Oh, God. All right.
We're sorry.
We love you guys. Again, 99 The Beat is TKNN Live. We love you all. Have a good night. Signing off, I am Yair L, the Disagreeable.
Navia, the Disagreeable.
And you're listening to 99 The Beat. Peace, light, and blessings. Oh, man, that was good. That was good.
You didn't stop screaming.
Microphone check.
God, that was funny.